Hi, my name is Christina, and today I'm going to be walking you through how to create an effective and clear writing assignment for your students. Now, to start, I want to express a frustration I've had as a student, and that is often I'll spend more time trying to figure out what the teacher is asking me to do in an assignment than actually completing it. And that's really frustrating for me as a student that I feel like I'm wasting my time and I'm not giving the teacher exactly what they wanted and what they want me to learn and grow and experience. So our goal today is to help you create more effective and clear writing assignments for your students. To illustrate this frustration and to help you think like your students, I want to start with an activity. So if you need to pause the video, go ahead, but if you could grab a scrap piece of paper and a pen or pencil so we can do the next activity, that would be great. So let's start the activity. I'm going to give you directions and I want you to draw what I'm explaining to you on a piece of paper. We're going to complete the activity twice, and the second time we're going to complete the drawing on the back side of your paper, so you'll end up with 2 drawings. If your first picture looks the same as mine, send me an email and I'll Venmo you $10. Here we go. First drawing. Draw a circle on your paper. Now, draw another circle. Draw a line through the circles. Draw 4 squares. Now let's flip our paper over and complete the activity again. This time, I'm going to give you more detail to what I want you to draw. So let's start with drawing one big circle in the middle of your paper. Now draw another circle inside of it. Draw a straight line in the middle of your paper that goes horizontally through the 2 circles and touches both ends of your paper. Now I want you to draw 1 square in each corner of the paper, so we have 4 squares on the page. All right. Take a look at your second picture. Does it look something like this? Very, very similar? Hopefully you drew something similar to this. But if you look at your first picture, was it anything like this or was it really off? I asked a few friends to complete this activity, and these are some of the pictures I got. So you can see they did their 2 circles, the line, and then the 4 squares. 2 circles with a line through it, 4 squares. 2 circles with a line through it and 4 squares. But these pictures aren't really what I was looking for. I was looking for this. You gave me something probably that was similar and fit all the directions I gave, but it wasn't really what I was looking for. So think like your student. When you give directions, are you giving vague directions that lead them to making something like this when you were asking for something like that? Or are you clear enough that students know exactly what you want and are giving you this? Another element to think about is students often feel like their assignments have high stakes rewards. Like I offered you $10 if you completed the activity correctly, you had some high stakes too. So students sometimes will feel pressure to create what you're asking for because they know they're going to get a letter grade. So just think of that stress that it creates on students when they don't get clear directions and they can't produce what you're asking for. Students today are busier than ever with school, sports, extracurriculars, jobs, and even though education might be a top priority for them, it's hard when things aren't effectively explained and they spend a lot of time wasting their time on things that they're trying to just figure out what you're asking them to do. So as we walk through this video, I hope that you're able to see how to create an effective writing assignment to help your students produce and learn exactly what you want them to. There's 2 goals for this video. The first is, by the end of the presentation, you should be able to list the top tips that I give from the presentation about creating an effective writing assignment with 100% accuracy. Additionally, when you put these tips into practice in your classroom, you'll be able to compare the clarity of your students by seeing extended student engagement, and also you should see higher letter grades because students are able to complete what you're asking them for in your classroom. So we're going to look at 3 tips to creating an effective writing assignment, and those 3 tips are, number 1, excitement, number 2, expectations, and number 3, execution. As an example, as we walk through those steps, we're going to apply this to a freshman composition class about to write a research paper. So like I said, the first tip that I have for you is excitement, getting your students excited about what they're going to write about. If I was presented with an activity or an assignment and a teacher just said, here's your next assignment, get started, I probably would shut my ears off and not pay that much attention to the directions. But if we create an exciting and enthusiastic environment for students where they can be creative and brainstorm, we're going to get more students to engage, which is going to help us with our clarity and effectiveness of an assignment. So for example, with a research paper of a freshman English class, If we give them creativity and ways to pick a topic where they don't even realize what they're doing, they're going to be more engaged with us. So some examples I have, you could have students draw popsicle sticks out of a cup with different topic ideas they could write about. You could have students choose a time period or something they're studying in history class that they could write about. Or I had a teacher who played the song "We Didn't Start the Fire" by Billy Joel, and that song has tons of different events that have happened in history, and she asked us to pick one of those that we thought was exciting to write about. So before students know it, they've picked a topic, they have a framework to work off of, and they can skip over the writer's block of what am I going to write about? The second tip I have for you is setting clear expectations. Expectations is a big part of creating an effective writing assignment. In order to know what to do, students need these clear expectations and a really deep framework of what we're asking them to do. And this needs to be done both verbally, from you as a teacher explaining what you want them to do, as well as they need to be able to see it physically on paper. So what you should do is you should create different tools that students can use and pass out the assignment with all the important things they need, like due dates and resources, as well as a rubric to see how they'll be graded and assessed. While you're explaining the assignment to them verbally, encourage students to look at those pieces of paper and highlight or underline all the different things that are really important or key elements to their success with writing the paper. You should also explain the directions slowly and clearly and check for understanding by asking students questions and seeing what questions they have, and then read their body language as well to see if they look like they're engaged or if you need to get them re-excited about the assignment. When we're talking about the rubric and the handouts, they really should be easy to understand on their own, as if a student could pick them up and easily understand what you're asking them to do. Think about the exercise we just did with the different pictures. If you give vague expectations and they give you back something that looks like this versus something that we ask for, your directions might not have been clear. So just keep that in mind as you're writing and creating the different assignments. And then our third step and tip for creating effective writing assignments is execution, and that's setting the students up for success so they can execute their assignments effectively. Once a student's given an assignment and asked to start working on it, it's important that we set them up for success. And one way we can do that is by breaking down different elements and steps in a larger assignment, such as this research paper that we're using as our example. So we could create checkpoints and different ways that we can check in with students and help them progress through their work. So looking at the example of the research paper, we could break it up into chunks and ask students to complete checkpoints for their thesis statement, for the 3 main points they're going to write about, looking at references, even an annotated bibliography, and then having students peer review before they submit their paper. All of these checkpoints allow for students to break the big, daunting assignment down into little tiny sections that seem much more manageable. And this will ultimately help students learn to track their time, and instead of sitting down to write a big 10-page paper in one night, they'll have these little elements to work off of, and it will keep them on track and on pace to be successful. Additionally, when we do these checkpoints, we can give students feedback. So if a student is struggling to even create a thesis statement that's going to work for them long term in this big paper, we can give them feedback on how to better themselves and better their writing, so that when they go to write their 3 main points and write their actual paper with their annotated bibliography, they have a framework of where to start, so it's not as daunting and they don't do the whole paper incorrectly away from what we're asking them to do. It will ultimately help them develop their writing skills as well, because they'll be given this feedback, so then the next time they go to write a paper, even if they don't have these checkpoints, they will know what a teacher is looking for and know what we expect for them as writers. So in conclusion, although these steps may seem simple or like things you're already implementing in your classroom, it's a good reminder that as teachers, we need to be intentional about giving clear and effective directions. So let's just review the 3 main things. Number 1, get the students excited. Be intentional about getting them passionate about what they're learning about, getting them engaged. Number 2, really be clear on your expectations. Ultimately, these expectations will help set students up for success. And then number 3, although it's up to students to execute the paper and write the assignment, you need to give them the checkpoints and the resources they need to be successful. And these different checkpoints will help them be successful long term. All 3 of these elements combined are really what help give students effective writing assignments. And like we said, writing isn't a yes or no like it is in math class. It's not a yes, this answer is correct, or no, it's not. So giving students a good framework of parameters they can work inside of that are effective in what you're looking for will really help students be successful in writing courses. So as we end this video, I want you to take your drawing and tuck it away somewhere, maybe in your planner, or if you're in a classroom, maybe hang it up on the wall somewhere by your desk. So the next time you're creating an assignment, you can remember these 3 steps of excitement, expectations, and execution so that you can help your students be successful when you create effective writing assignments. Thank you.